Recently, global leaders gathered in Glasgow for the 26th Annual UN Climate Change Conference, or COP26, reaching an agreement to speed up the process of transitioning away from fossil fuels, as well as for wealthier nations to provide financial support for poorer nations in dealing with the high price tag of the climate crisis. The agreement also includes a pledge to cut methane emissions by 2030 by 30%, with President Biden remarking, quote, "We're proposing two new rules, one through our Environmental Protection Agency that's going to reduce methane losses from the new and existing oil and gas pipelines, and one through the Department of Transportation to reduce wasteful and potentially dangerous leaks from natural gas pipelines." However, the agreement released by the 90 participating nations during the summit is woefully inadequate, as it does not follow through on the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement to cap warming of Earth between 1.5 and 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Even the pledges made by the signatories of the Paris Agreement, however, would not achieve the set goal. If anything, this proves the need for world leaders to be even more aggressive with their pledges and goals. However, not only is that not the case, but the U.S. in particular appears to have no intention of following through with the pledges they made in Glasgow, or at the very least taking actions to make the results of these pledges negligible by even more pollution. The Senate is slated to soon pass the annual National Defense Authorization Act, which not only increases the defense budget from the Trump years, but, as I've mentioned in a previous video, it is a $25 billion increase from what has already been requested by Biden. The U.S. military has a carbon footprint larger than that of up to 140 other nations. Continuing to support increases in the defense budget doesn't just not address the climate crisis, it actively perpetuates it. In fact, journalist Abby Martin of the Empire Files grilled House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on this issue during the summit. Predictably, she did not give a straight answer to the question, and we all know what that means.
Abby Martin with the Empire Files. Speaker Pelosi, you just presided over a large increase in the Pentagon budget. This Pentagon budget is already massive. The Pentagon is a larger polluter than 140 countries combined. How can we seriously talk about net zero if there is this bipartisan consensus to constantly expand this large contributor to climate change, which is exempt from these conferences?
I don't see what we're doing in any way, or increasing the defense budget, as being something that's inconsistent with climate action. I really don't.
And may I just add that the national security advisors all tell us that the climate crisis is a national security matter. It is, of course, a health matter for our children, the water they drink, the air they breathe, etc. It is a jobs issue between clean technologies being the future of our workforce and the training for all of that. It is a national security issue.
Additionally, in the days following the summit, President Biden's Interior Department and Bureau of Ocean Energy Management held an auction for oil drilling leases to fossil fuel titans such as Exxon and Chevron, selling over 300 tracts covering 1.7 million acres. Although the administration insists that their hands were tied to do so following a court order insisting they proceed with lease sales, environmentalists point out how they did not even attempt to do an immediate appeal of the ruling or to request a stay. Rather, they waited until the sale was set to take place to file an appeal. Finally, there's a speech from President Obama, former President Obama actually, during the summit, where he encourages activists to, quote, vote their way, quote, out of the climate crisis.
Meanwhile, you've grown up watching many of the adults who are in positions to do something about it either act like the problem doesn't exist or refuse to make the hard decisions necessary to address it. You are right to be frustrated. Folks in my generation have not done enough to deal with a potentially cataclysmic problem that you now stand to inherit. Vote like your life depends on it, because it does.
Yet another admission that leaders in power will do little to nothing to address climate change. And with that being the case, we cannot simply vote our way out of this catastrophe. It will require a mass mobilization of citizens across the globe with specific demands and the willingness to put their leaders, who are placating them by saying what they want to hear but doing the opposite in power, on blast. As I've encouraged before, find or start a local environmental organization in your community, or if you're like me, college campus, and speak with like-minded people. That's how movements are started. And most importantly, don't take no for an answer. Keep pushing the powers that be into doing more than all talk and no action, and don't stop until they bend.